Jug Spirit Games booth right now, showing off our latest game, By Order of the Queen. It's a cooperative game, so everybody wins or everybody loses. And in the game, the king has disappeared. The queen is now in charge, and she's got a plan to save the kingdom because everyone's decided it's a great time to attack. So what we're doing is we're trying to complete the 3 queen's orders before all of the villagers get eaten, or before all the regions defect, or before we work our way through and lose all of our heroes as we send them on quests and fight monsters and such. So what we've got is, as the players each represent a different guild in the kingdom, and on your turn you have 7 heroes that you have to choose from, and you're dropping 4 of those heroes down as your party for that turn. And on my turn, I can then send those heroes to either go on a quest to one of the locations in the kingdom, or I can have them work on the Queen's quest, or I can have them fight the monsters, because if we leave those monsters there, and as each player takes a turn and this progresses, when that drops down, that's when all the bad stuff happens. And if there's still 3 monsters, then we're actually going to lose 3 villagers. So looking at my party, I have a good, well-rounded party. I'm going to send them to the Silver Coast, for example. You flip it over and you can see there's a narrative there. You just get dropped into the middle of some action. You see an icon there which corresponds to one of the 6 basic attributes, gaming attributes like strength, dexterity, constitution, wisdom, intelligence, dexterity, or charisma. And you can see my party has 2, and I also have a magic item that gives me a 3rd. So that means I actually get to roll 3 dice. In this game, a 5 or above is always going to be a success. So I was not successful, which means I move from here down to here, and I read the narrative. If I had been successful, I would read this instead. So the narrative changes, and so do the penalties and rewards as I progress. And then combat is pretty simple. It's kind of fun. Looking at my party, I can see I have a really well-rounded party. I have a ranged, I have a healer, a shield or a tank, and a melee. I get 1 dice for each of those classes. I roll my dice, not very well apparently, and I can see these monsters. What I'm looking at here are my minimums, so I can go, okay, I'm gonna get him, I got him, and I'm gonna wound him as well. I can do 4 or more, so in this case I'm putting a 6 on a 4. And these 2 are killed. I get to keep those as trophies, and if I have 4 trophies, I can then turn those in for a magic item that can be used in a later turn to help my party. Because there's 1 left over, one of my characters actually dies, and he goes over to and gets added to the retired heroes spot. And the rest of my heroes then get shuffled back in or discarded to be later used again. The wounds on the monsters stay on there, so the other players can decide whether they want to just finish him off, or they might decide that we can afford to lose a villager. And then last of all, there's epic monsters that are shuffled into the bottom 2/3 of the deck. You pick 2 epic monsters, and when they're drawn, the corresponding card also gets drawn, and that replaces the Queen's order, and you're not able to progress then as a party until you deal with your dragon problem. And there's a whole bunch of different epic monsters to choose from, and you can either pick ones that you haven't fought before or just randomly decide on a few. So that's kind of the quick and dirty. There's also a little bit of variable difficulty. For example, if your gamer group is a little more chill and you just want to have, you want to make it easier, you might throw in a henchman, and the henchman will just kind of throw themselves into the fire for a win. You can burn them to get an auto success. And we also have a mini expansion that we have here at the convention as well that has a variable difficulty event deck, has some alternate art cards. There's some blank cards so you can draw your own heroes on there. And there's 4 different locations, 4 more different quests for each location area. But so yeah, so that's By Order of the Queen, our latest cooperative game for Junk Spirit Games.